Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice, the podcast for women who are done waiting for the one and ready to become the parent on their own damn terms. We're talking fertility, pregnancy, emotional chaos, and the village that it takes to raise a kid. Sometimes you're crying in the bathtub. Sometimes you're crying because your toddler bit you. And sometimes you cry because you chose all of this. Welcome to Motherhood, solo style. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Choosing Chaos, Solo Motherhood by Choice. I'm your host, Laura. Today's episode features a guest who prefers to remain anonymous, so we'll just be calling her Jay. Her path to parenthood began with a thoughtful decision to pursue at-home insemination using a known donor, a choice based on her preference for a more personal and familiar approach. Now, she's deep in the toddler trenches with her amazing little guy, navigating the chaos, joy, and emotional whiplash that only a toddler can deliver. As someone who deeply understands the importance of growing up with clarity about where we come from, Jay is passionate about introducing the concept of donor conception early and just making it a natural, celebrated part of her child's story from the very beginning, rather than a surprise revealed later on in life. She also brings humor to every part of her experience, including the wonderfully unpredictable reality of natural childbirth. Let's dive in. Thank you for joining us on Choosing Chaos. How's your day been?
It's been good. We're over here at my folks' house today. My mom is watching my little one so that we can have this conversation. We're having a lovely day so far.
That is amazing. It sounds like your parents are your biggest village.
Yeah, we've definitely built a good village of close friends as well, but my folks have been indispensable. They've been just the most wonderful people. I'm very grateful for them. They just love him so much.
And the quality time that they get to spend with your son is irreplaceable, right? And we were
Yeah.
just talking about how, it is to raise little ones. You have a 16-month-old. I have a 13-and-a-half-month-old, very close in age. So you're a little before me in some of the milestones, but it is very exciting to watch them grow.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's so fun. He and I just baked a cake together for the first time a couple weeks ago, last week. And obviously, like it's pretty basic help. He's pouring things in for me. He's helping me mix. But it's so cool once you get to a stage where they can be more involved like that.
You didn't trust him with cracking the egg yet?
No, we're not at eggs yet. He's very interested. He loves to watch me crack the eggs. He's very interested in cooking in general, like a kitchen of any style, play kitchen, real kitchen, anything is his hottest go-to right now. He wants to
Yeah.
cook all day long. It's only a matter of time, I'm sure.
Right. So you shared a little bit about having ended a very serious relationship right before you made this decision to become a single mom. How did you know at that time you were ready to move forward on your own?
Um, because that was the way I was going to have a family, at least biologically. I was in a very serious, very profound long-term relationship for about 6.5 years. We were very different people. We still are. It just wasn't going to be the happiest either of us were going to be to try to force that relationship to work. Um, and I knew ending that at 34 was not going to leave me a lot of time to get over that relationship, meet someone new, date them for long enough to know that that would be the right person to have a family with,
Right.
start trying to conceive. It's just that takes a lot of time. And at 34, I was not willing to risk it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was contemplating the end of that relationship, knowing it was a fork in the road of see if I could make it work with this man or go it alone. Like that was a very clear decision point for me because I was ready to be a mom and I was ready to just do it. however it was going to work.
It doesn't leave you, to your point, a lot of time because relationships take time to get to know those individuals. And it's not up to us on whether we're ready or not to have an engagement and to get married. It's really in their hands. So that can drag out for a very long time, unfortunately. But I'm glad that you made this decision to prioritize your desire to become a parent over that. And it sounds very similar to me. I got to a point too where I had broken up with somebody and I decided that I wanted to be a mom too by the time I was 38. And for me, it was prioritizing this decision over love because love can happen at any time, right? There's no
Absolutely.
timeline on that. But becoming a mom, we have a
Mhm.
very small window to do that. And sometimes when we think that that window ends at like 40, sometimes it's a little longer than that or shorter than that. It just really depends on science in our bodies, right?
Yeah. Well, to go back to my folks, they're a little bit older as well because I'm actually adopted. They tried for years to have kids and it wasn't working out. So they adopted, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
But it
Oh,
means that they are, in their 70s now. And so as old as I am, it was really important to me that my parents know any children that I have.
right.
That I would say pushed my timeline even harder than my own personal biological clock.
Yeah. Yeah, because tomorrow's never promised, right? So you
Yeah.
wanna give them the opportunity to get to know your little one while they're still around. And so
Mhm.
tell me about when your parents had that conversation with you about being adopted, because I know that's something a lot of women talk about on this platform is how do we tell our little ones and when's the right time to do so? So being adopted, what was that conversation like for you?
Yeah, I have a lot of strong feelings about this. There was never a conversation. I've always known. It's an open adoption. I know my biological parents. There was no part of my life where I ever found out that I'm adopted. I have a younger brother who is from the same biological mother. So, from the time, well, even before I have memories, there are pictures of our family with my biological mother, like her visiting with us.
Yeah,
Um, and I have no hangups. I am like the most well-adjusted adopted person that I've ever met. And I think it's just because it was always really open and
yeah,
normal and full of love and full of honesty and transparency and no, mm, like my folks never had, or if they did, they never showed it, any like jealousy, anything
right.
like that. So I am taking that as the model I'm running with. I talk to my son all the time about his biological father, my donor. We've actually visited with him once this past summer because it's a known donor situation. He's an old friend. We're not currently close, but he was my best friend in high school. Yeah, I want to get a picture of him to have in our house in a little frame so that when we talk about where Theodore comes from, we can point to a face and say, "Remember how we met him? That's who we're talking about." Because I think that's how you create a situation where there's just mm, pride and understanding and a lack of um, what's the word that I'm looking for? There's just no hangups, right? There's
Mhm.
nothing to get over. It's just like,
Yeah,
this is my family. This is where I come from. These are the people that love me. And those are facts. I don't
right.
know.
It's a lot of trust too. Like you're building that
Yeah.
trust from an early age instead of later on in life having that conversation, which can be a little bit more difficult, right?
Yeah, I think people often feel blindsided when I'm,
Mhm.
in the other Facebook groups that I'm in about, donor conceived people sharing their stories. It strikes me that the people who have the most anger and baggage and resentment are people who found out late in life. And
Yeah,
I fully get it because they had the rug pulled out from under them about who they are, who their family is, what the reality is in terms of who they come from at a most basic level.
mhm,
And yeah, that's really disorienting. I don't blame those people in the least for having those feelings. But I think it's
mm,
so easily avoidable if you're able to just lay it out on the table. This is where you come from, and there's nothing wrong with it. There are all
right.
different types of families. This is ours. And
Mhm.
like, I love you. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to bring you into this world, and here's how I did it. And no matter what,
Yeah.
there's so much love between us. And who cares what it looks like?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, going back a little bit in time, you knew that you wanted to become a mom. And so tell us about choosing a known donor who was your friend and what that process was like. What was that early conversation and how did you go about conceiving? Obviously, we know how
Yeah.
that part works, but you know.
Yeah. How did this come about? So I knew that this was one of my two options. Either I was going to stay with my former partner or I was going to find someone to be my donor. And I knew that I wanted a known donor because of my background, because I didn't want any anonymity. I
Yeah.
wanted my child to grow up knowing who they come from biologically because I was given that gift. And so, how hypocritical of me to choose something else for my child, knowing what a gift it was to me. I'd asked a few friends in my life. I had a couple of people who were potential options. And then, yeah, my friend came to town with his partner and they were doing something and he had some time. He said, "Hey, do you want to get coffee and catch up?" We hadn't really talked in like 8 years. We'd fallen out of
Oh,
touch. Um,
so easy to do so as adults, though.
it's just what happens
It's
sometimes.
life.
So we went out
Yeah.
for a coffee and we're chatting away. And then at the end of the conversation, he just mentions casually that he is um, a donor to some children across a few different families, that he's a known donor already. And I had not mentioned anything about
Yeah.
my situation because I was in my relationships, excuse me, still trying to decide what to do.
Yeah.
And
But
I
also
just
like
said,
the heavens opened up and we're like, "Hello, here you go."
I said, "Well, I might be in a position where I'm looking for a donor." And he just said, "Well, you have my number." And so we went our separate ways. And a few months later, my relationship did come to an end. And I called up my friend and I said, "Okay, let's talk about this. I'd love to hear more about your situation and what could be done here." We talked it through. We had several conversations. He shared about how it had gone in the past with his other friends and
Mhm.
acquaintances that he had ended up donating for. He shared with me the contracts that they had used so that I could get a contract updated and, as watertight as it gets in Ontario. Took that all away, got myself a lawyer, had the paperwork all done up, and then yeah, I was tracking my cycle. We set up some times to go. He's in Toronto, which is about an hour from where I am. So I went, and it was just like such a cute and surreal experience to get to his house. I'd never been to his house before. He and his partner are there at the door, just like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Hey,
I'm
okay,
here.
hello." And so he says, "Come on in. It's waiting for you upstairs." And I was like, "All right, man. I've never been to your house before. I don't know where I'm going. Like, where's your? What? Can you be more explicit about like?" What room am I going to? Like, what's going
Right.
on? So he said, "Okay, so you go upstairs in the bedroom. There's a cup on the night table. It's all yours." Okay. And so we took my little syringe kit up there, went and had a moment, and then came downstairs, and they're just sitting on the couch being like, "Hey." Like, oh my goodness. So it was really sweet and like warm and nice. They said, "Do you want to have a glass of water, have a chat?" So we sat and chatted and talked about unrelated stuff from, um, donor conception, artificial insemination, just normal conversation. And his partner worked at a bakery at the time. She brought me home a little thing of baked goods to take. I was just like, "This
Oh,
is so nice. This is such good
yeah.
vibes."
Yeah.
Um, and so I came back a couple days in a row to catch that cycle, and it worked
Oh,
on the
yeah.
first try. And so that
Wow.
was that. And then I was pregnant, and I was like, "Okay, well, that was as easy as it could possibly get."
He he has a wife, right?
He has a partner, yeah.
Okay. How and I think I heard you say her. How did
Yes.
she feel about all of this, knowing that he's a known donor for many different children out there?
Several children, yeah. I believe my son is his sixth, if I'm
Okay.
not uh,
That's adorable.
counting wrong. And we are the fourth family that he's donated to. I don't know how she feels. I imagine that she feels okay about it. I'm not close with them. I've never asked her, but I don't think that they are looking to have children of their own. She's a lovely, warm, and welcoming person. I didn't sense any negativity or anything. She obviously knows all about it. She knew why I was at her house, in her bedroom. You know what I mean? I just think that they're really cool people. They're
Yeah.
um,
Selfless.
very well. I did ask a little bit about his feelings about this, and he says that he feels it's somewhat of a calling, that he wants to
Oh,
help women have families.
yeah.
And he's been really, yeah, ball is completely in my court as far as how much contact I want to have. He said, if you never want to see or talk to me again and you don't want to tell your child anything about me, that's completely your call. It's your family. If you want me to play a role in your family and like have me meet your kid, that's on the table too. Like it's your family, your choice, how you want to play this relationship. And I just thought, you're saying all the right things. This is so nice.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet too.
Yeah, making it really easy.
Right. So when you made the decision to introduce them, what was that experience like?
It was really nice. It was super casual. We were in town visiting my brother lives mostly in Toronto these days, and so we made a date. We met in the park and
Oh,
just hung out at the park, talked, caught up, looked at the dogs. Theodore was crawling around at that point, so kept him from crawling too far away on the pavement. And
yeah.
I don't know, it was almost exactly like hanging out with any other of my friends, other than trying to take pictures of them together so that I could try to find some resemblance. But my son mostly looks like me, I have to say, which I
Oh,
like.
does he have any personality traits? I know he's
It's
still young.
I mean, it's hard to say. He's a very laid back guy. Well, I'm obviously very biased, but I think he's quite bright. He's very funny and he's really chill. He's not a sensitive child. He's sensitive in the way that he's curious and he's always paying attention to things and he's noting everything, but
Mhm.
he's not bothered by much in the way that, some kids don't like the feel of certain clothing and they're picky about textures of foods, like that
Yeah,
type of sensitivity. We have none of that. And
that's
yeah, our
good.
donor is also obviously a very laid back, easygoing kind of guy. Things just roll off his back, and he's willing to just let things be what they need to be for other people. And perhaps that is something that Theodore gets from him.
Will you have more contact in the future between them?
Yeah, I'd love to have us do a visit once or twice a year because I do want that to be some kind of a relationship so
Yeah.
that my son knows who we're talking about when we talk about his
Yeah.
biological father. And I would like to have a second child. So when we hung out with this summer, I mentioned, when Theodore's 3, I'd like to have another kid. And he was like, that's more notice than I need. Like, yeah, fair enough. Just amp
Giving you
up
a
all
little
the
bit of a
way
heads up.
for a couple years, but yeah, so he's just like, "Great, call me." Okay, man, I will.
You're on my list.
Yes.
Tell me about your pregnancy.
Yeah, I think it was just about as easy as it gets. I didn't
Jealous.
have any nausea. I didn't have any sickness. Some smell sensitivity, but pretty easy breezy. Um, It's so hard to remember these things because I find as I go through phases, the current phase is so intense that all of my memories of previous phases are wiped out. Like
Yeah.
I only know what it's like to have a 16-month-old. I don't remember anything in terms of like, clear specific. You're so in it when you're in it for a
Yeah.
phase, and then that phase is over and you're in a new phase, and that phase just takes over everything. So my memories of pregnancy are a little hazy, but I remember not liking it despite how easy it was.
What didn't
It's
you
kind
like about it?
I was very tired and
Mhm.
I didn't like well, especially as you are in the later stages of pregnancy and you get gigantic. I was just tired of all the things that people get tired of, like being
Mhm.
uncomfortable, being gigantic, having to pee all the time, all of the inconvenience that comes with being pregnant, waddling around and like even though I didn't deal with, my feet didn't swell up, they got really itchy and I'm just so over it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and I had wicked heartburn. I do remember that for the
Yeah, that was
later
not fun.
stages. I was just so over it. And of course, with a first pregnancy, you don't realize that as hard as it is to be pregnant, it's so much harder to have a newborn. And so
Yes.
towards the end, I was just like, oh, he can come whenever he wants. I'm so ready. I'm so ready to have my body back. But like, girl, you could have just stayed there for a few more days. You had no idea what you were asking for.
Yes, especially those first few weeks of the newborn phase. Oh, man, it's rough. All the
Yeah.
emotions that come with that too.
Everything. Yeah. The newborn phase is pretty punishing, I have to say.
But that's like a gray area to me. I remember my pregnancy, but the newborn stage was really rough for me to remember, and I think because I was just trying to survive on a daily basis that I would blacked it out.
Yeah. Yeah. The newborn, there was just so much going on for me in terms of like trying to breastfeed, which was a struggle that we never quite got the hang of, and all of the hormones and, your body just recovering from birth
Yeah.
and the sleeplessness and just the transition to being a mother. I felt really like, the way a caterpillar goes into a cocoon and actually melts down into a goo before they come out to become a butterfly. I felt like brute force reconstruction turned into a goo
Yeah.
before I became a solid new creature that was a mother. And that was wild to go through.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so you had the feeding issues, the challenges with your son. Tell me a little bit more about that because I also experienced some of that during my postpartum.
Yeah, I feel like it's more common than we realize. My son was born with a tongue tie, which I was on the lookout for because I myself had a tongue tie that I had released as an adult, which is a whole separate journey. Um, but I wanted to get that taken care of as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
We were referred by my wonderful midwives to go to a local, I don't know what she is. I guess she's a nurse practitioner who was doing tongue tie releases for infants because she could take us the quickest. Wanted to take him to the woman who'd done mine,
Mhm.
but she couldn't see us for a few weeks. And my midwife said,
Wow.
"Look, you're really suffering. Breastfeeding is really hard. I think you should maybe prioritize just getting this done." I said, "Great, let's try it." And she did a really bad job.
Oh, no.
It was like quite problematic. I was not happy with how it went. I think he was 8 days old. She did it before I even signed the consent form. Like, she handed me
What?
the form to read. She had my baby over on the table with her assistant. She hands me the form to read over on this table. I'm reading it. I'm reading through. I haven't signed it yet. And then she says, "Okay, it's done." And I'm like, "Oh my God. What? Hold on. Like, I was gonna be over there and watch and like be with my baby. And also, I didn't consent for you to do anything to my baby at this point." And then
Right?
on top of that, it didn't work. So
Oh,
it was an
man.
incomplete release. We had to end up taking him to my dentist who'd done it for me. However many weeks we had to wait, it was the right thing. So
Yeah.
that was a journey as well. Then, all of the tongue tie release exercises that come with it,
Mhm.
5 times a day, all hours of the day. And he still just never quite got the hang of breastfeeding. Like, he would nurse for an hour and then I would pump and like 100 mils would come out. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, you're just not
Oh,
getting the milk. And so,
yeah. Right. He wasn't able to suck it. Yeah.
no. And so I was triple feeding for a while, doing the pumping
Same.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's not fun.
that's a tough schedule. That's real
Yes.
tough.
Mhm.
Around 5 weeks, I think, I finally gave up on nursing and I said, okay, we're just going to do exclusive pumping and topping up a little bit with formula because I don't have quite enough milk. And every once in a while, I would still offer the breast up until he started getting teeth around 6 months, and then we were done.
No. It's funny that you say that because Weston, he's getting his bottom molars right now, and he's in, like, a biting phase, which on and off
Mm,
through his teething, he's been in a biting phase, and I'm like, "I can't imagine still nursing you and you just, like, biting me. Like,
Yeah.
no.
It took a couple of bites where I was like, neither of us are getting what we need out of this. I think maybe we can move on.
Yeah, this is not comfortable for either of us.
No.
Yeah, triple feeding is not fun. I definitely know what that feels like, but you have to do what's best for your child, right? No matter what
Mhm.
that looks like, we do what's best for our child because fed is fed.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I pumped for 11 and a half months and I was like, it's great. We did the thing. I was aiming for a year, but we were going on a trip out east, just coming up on a year, and I thought, this is close enough. This is close enough. We can wean off right before this trip so that I don't have to take my whole kit with us on the plane,
Mhm.
and that will be that. So the timing worked out really nicely, and I feel really good for having pumped that long.
Well, praises to you for doing that. Can't imagine traveling with all the things that you need to pump and then also have the storage for it and find a place to put it and bring it back. And that's a whole thought process I've never
It's a
even
whole
thought of
thing.
because I gave up around 7 months, I think it was. I praise you for doing that. Tell me more about the newborn stage. What kind of help did you have? What did that look like?
Yeah, because when I read about people who are doing it fully, completely on their own, I have so much oh, I how do they do it? They're amazing. I had my parents with me a lot of the time. It was invaluable, especially that first couple of weeks. So my folks sort of split the difference. One of them would stay over 2 nights in a row, then the next one would stay over 2 nights in a row, then they would take 2 nights off to recover, and I would try to find another friend locally who could stay with me one of those nights.
Yeah.
And then the cycle would start again. They were with me, one of them every 4 out of 6 nights for the first 3 months, just to be extra hands, and so I did all of the night shifts myself. We co-slept since he was born,
Yeah.
but during the day, I had extra hands there to wash 1,000 bottles as we got into that phase of our feeding journey, just to help with diapers. Although it took me a long time to start letting them do diapers. I don't know why I hung on to
Yeah.
diapers as my own task for at least a month. They're like, "We can change his diapers. It's okay." I thought,
Was it like a protection thing?
no, I think I just felt like it was my responsibility and they were helping me and being so sweet. And I just thought, this is gross. I'll do it. Like, I'm not gonna put this on anyone else. Like, this gross
Yeah.
task can be mine. But it turns
Right.
out it didn't have to be.
After the newborn phase, what was your village like then? Your parents were still around. Did you still
They
have the support of your friend?
Yeah, so my parents sort of eased off their help because they were pretty tired after that 3
Yeah.
months, and they were each staying 1 night a week, and now these days they still come and just do sort of 1 day shift a week for me, each of them. Like an 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., just extra hands, which is so nice. But
Yes.
we have our neighbors are amazing. We have neighbors right next door. We have a neighbor downstairs who've both been there in a pinch if I need them. There's a woman who's close friends with my folks who is local to me, and she comes over about once a month to give me a couple hours and take him out to the park or something, do something fun. And then I have a couple of friends who have been there right from the start. My friends Jeff and Allie, who they're just part of our family now. They're just and Uncle Jeff and Auntie Allie.
So your water broke in the middle of the night. How long were you in labor before you went to the hospital?
Not long. It was a very, very quick first labor and birth experience. My water broke around 2 a.m. I called my doula, I called my birthing partner, who is a close friend of mine, and they got to the house. I forget the exact timeline. I have it written down somewhere. I think we left for the hospital around 5 a.m. And then by the time we got there, like things were progressing pretty quickly. My midwife was like, "I don't know. Let's check you out. Let's see what's going on." And she checked and she's like, "Oh, yes, there is no you're 10 centimeters. Like, let's get you into a room right now." And my son was born at 9:45 that morning. So,
Oh, that was quick. Yeah,
real
that
quick.
progressed really quickly. Did
Yes.
you I assume you didn't have an epidural because you didn't have the time to get one.
No, and I didn't want one. This was my plan was to do a natural birth. I got
Yeah.
exactly the birth that I was looking for, and it was a very horrific, painful experience, but it was exactly what I signed up for.
You're like, "I know going into it, it's gonna suck, it's gonna be painful, but I'm here for it." Um, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I felt things at 8 centimeters, and I was like, "No, no, no. I feel for the women that do this naturally. You're all amazing."
I decided that was what I wanted, and as much as you can try to prepare for it, I did what I could, the breathing exercises, this and that. And I've had some pretty intense surgeries in the past. Like I had a rib surgery called the Nuss procedure at one point, which is very painful. And then I had a double jaw surgery a couple years ago. And so I thought,
Wow.
I've done some hard stuff with my body before. I probably can do this. Childbirth is way more painful than either of those things, it turns out. But I still did it, and it was much more than I had bargained for. At no
You
point did I wish I'd done it a different way, but wow, does it hurt.
I feel like you have to go somewhere else mentally through that process, right? Like, you have to
Yeah.
almost be outside of your body, outside of the pain, really just remove yourself from the situation. Maybe? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, I do remember feeling like um a certain surreality to it. I remember being like lying on the table. I have to say, my team was amazing. I had midwives and I had a doula and I had a birthing partner, and we were in a hospital setting. Um, but they were so supportive of however I wanted to labor. I was, doing all whatever I needed. Um, my birthing partner is a registered massage therapist, so she was ready to like help me with that. I didn't
Yeah.
want any. It turns out when I'm in pain, I don't want anyone to touch me. I don't want to hear any sounds, no music, no nothing. Just like let me
Everybody
be
be
in my
quiet.
yeah, be in my pain management breathing by myself.
Right.
But everyone was very supportive of everything I needed. But at a certain point, my one of my midwives said, "Can I make a suggestion? Because you seem like you're getting tired. Can you lay down like this? We're going to hold your legs like this." And I remember maybe it was in transition when it really starts to get real, lying there and being like, "Oh my God, I have to just do this." Like this is my reality right now, and there's no way out but through. That's that's fucked. Like I can't believe this is what I'm living through right now. I guess here we go. You can't just like hit an off switch. There are so few experiences in life where I personally have felt that way, where it's just like I wish that I were doing a different thing right now in the
Mhm.
deepest part of my core feeling, but you just have to do it. So it was
You
sort of the
do.
opposite of an
Mhm.
out of body experience. It was a very in body experience, feeling like looking down at the table, seeing my legs, seeing the people all around me, being like, "Oh God, I'm in this body." Ah.
Yeah. And, like, you wish at that moment, like, they could just suck the baby out. You're like, I have to see this through, right now. I
One
just
day,
have to
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I had gas by the bed, and I'd never used it because frankly there was no time. It was like between contractions I didn't need it, and when a contraction was coming, I just had to use all my focus to push. There was
Mhm.
there was no time for me to reach over, put the mask on my face and inhale. It was so down to the wire in the moment, second by second. Like, what do you mean? No, we can't do gas. I don't even if it would take the edge off, it doesn't even matter. There's simply no possibility of accessing that.
Right. And they don't train you properly for how to push. I think that's something I struggled with for the first few
Mm.
pushes was like, I said to my nurse, "I need you to show me how I'm supposed to do this because I don't think
Mm.
I'm doing it right."
Interesting. They did direct me. I had said at one point, because I went through my birth preferences with my doula ahead of time, and I didn't want too much direction because I'd read, Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, and I was feeling very empowered and like I was going to know what to do. So going in, they just said, you do you as you want. But I think as my midwives were watching me doing me, they said, we can gently offer some suggestions. And so there were some pushes where I was pushing and they said, we need you to like do the guttural, like from the gut, like you're
Mhm,
pushing without the power behind it. And they started sort of adjusting, like, can you roar? Like, roar really deep when you push.
mhm,
I'm like,
mhm.
oh, yes, that is much more effective. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay, we're going to be
and
roaring here on out.
and you don't even get time to, like, actually breathe in between each of them. You're like, push, and then you're like, and, like, right back at it. It's you really don't even get time to suck air in before you're pushing again.
Yeah, it can be wild. Yeah.
Yeah, how we do the things we do as women is incredible, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, Theodore was welcomed into the world, and how did you feel as a mama when you first heard him cry?
I think all of it was very overwhelming, and I couldn't quite believe it. They put him on my chest, and I was holding him, and my doula had taken some pictures for me. I wasn't
Oh,
sure if I wanted pictures, not of the, actual crowning or birth or anything, but just
yeah.
him right after with me. And I'm so glad that she did take those pictures. I thought that I was going to be, critical of how I looked or something, but instead it's just so raw and sweet and real.
Mhm,
And yeah, and surreal. I'm just going to keep using that word because I couldn't quite believe that it had all happened and that
mhm.
I had a baby. Like, what? I just made a baby. I chose to do this. I
Yeah,
got pregnant and now there's a baby on my chest. That's crazy.
and you're a
So,
mom.
and now I'm a mom and I got to cut my own cord and
Oh, wow.
that was pretty cool. Yeah, my midwife just said, "Okay, here's the scissors and here's the cord and like it's going to be tougher than you think." And so I have a picture also of me like cutting the cord. That felt pretty special and empowering. I mean, birthing a child is empowering as well,
Yes.
and then
Mhm,
being the one to also cut the umbilical cord, pretty neat. Just like I did this. I did all the
mhm.
parts of this.
It was
Amazing.
just you. How has it been the last 16 months raising the most amazing little guy?
It's been really fun. It's been really challenging,
Mm,
and it's just been a whole different slice of life that I'm really privileged to experience.
yeah.
I I'm fully removed from the world that I was living in before, just being a single working woman,
Mhm.
going back and forth to work, doing whatever I wanted in the evenings, and now my life is consumed by this wonderful sweet little boy who is my new little guy, and we hang out and we do fun stuff, and I don't get enough sleep and I don't get enough rest, and I wish I could just like get a handle on all of the other projects that I'm trying to do. 1,000 other things off the side of my desk. I threw a big 50th anniversary party for my folks this September. We went
Aw.
on like multiple trips, one out east in May, one out west in August, and like the planning of these things, just doing late at night when it's the only time you have to plan such things and keeping
Yep.
house and all of this stuff. It feels like there is never quite enough time, or even like a, a lot less time than one needs. But it's the most sort of fun, impossible treadmill to be on. And it's also so amazing to watch the visible growth of a child
Yes.
because life before Theodore also felt like an impossible treadmill, but you couldn't measure it in a way that felt so sweet. And now it's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I've been cleaning my house for years and I've been making dinners for years and I've been doing all of these tasks, but now I'm doing them and like, oh my God, now he can walk. I
Mhm.
made all these dinners for a month and I fed this little boy and now he is growing in a way that is a miracle.
Yep.
And that just changes everything about my perspective on rote everyday life and
Yeah.
chores.
It is incredible to watch their growth and the different milestones that they hit, and it's just Life is such a gift, right?
Yeah, it feels very special. And
Yeah.
I'm incredibly grateful that I have the support and, enough finances to be able to do this, a stable enough housing situation to do this. There's so many pieces that were correctly in place to allow me to take on this challenge,
Hmm.
that otherwise I think it would have been not too big, but it certainly would have been a hell of a lot harder. I'm
Yeah.
very, very grateful for everything that I had in place and still have in place that supports us through this journey.
How has motherhood changed your sense of self, though, through all of this?
Well, I've tried really hard not to lose sight of who I was before becoming a mother because I know that's also quite common.
Yeah.
Because it can be all consuming, and in some ways it should be.
Yeah.
But in other ways, it's really better if it isn't. Because I think a mother who has a strong sense of self can be a better mother,
Hmm.
especially as you get, an older child. A baby doesn't know, but
Right.
a toddler and then a kid, I think, does kind of know when they have a parent that has a self outside of the family rule. And so what have I done? Well, I'm in a book club that I think really helps me because it's a mostly virtual book club, and we choose books that are, I mean, some of them are parents, but most of them are not. They're just regular books. Right now, we're reading War and Peace, and that's a heavy choice. But it's been a lovely slice away from mother life to read books that are not about babies or children or parenting
Yeah.
and talk with a bunch of really intelligent, really interesting people about themes and literature and history, all of this very different from my day-to-day life kind of stuff that's helped me continue to tap into the person I was and the thoughts that I had and remember, oh yeah, I'm pretty smart. Like I went to school for philosophy. I could use some of
Yeah.
this stuff. That's really nice. So that's one very small thing that has helped me in the
Yeah.
rigmarole of not having free time for very much.
We still have to prioritize ourselves. It's extremely important in being a parent that you still take time for yourself. So, if you could give any advice to somebody who's considering an ICI or solo parenthood, what would that be?
For an ICI specifically, um, well, I mean, my procedure worked pretty well, but I think I also got pretty lucky with my fertility. I would say the playbook that I used worked on the first try, so run with that if you want to do an ICI at home. Give that a go, and you might be just as lucky as me. But I think the harder question would be if they're just considering s- solo motherhood. I did a lot of reading and I did a lot of research beforehand. There was one book that you may or may not have talked about before. I think it's just called Choosing Single Motherhood. And I thought that was a really good overview of the life, of the take of all of the different components that can be involved with being single mother by choice.
Yeah.
There are some other good podcasts that I was listening to. I think not by accident. I really found a lot in and remember crying along too, just thinking like, this feels right. I don't know this woman, but I really relate to her and I like her so much and she's making me feel like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
So I think just
Powerful.
finding voices that have already walked the path because you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are women
Yeah.
doing this. Here we
Yeah.
are. And I know that that helped me a lot to see possibilities for my path was just looking at other people's paths.
Yeah.
And then also a real inventory of what your own life looks like. What are we coming to the journey with, emotional maturity wise, village wise, resources wise, home life wise? Do you need to make any changes before you make the leap? Because, yeah, those 9 months passed quickly and exhaustingly. And then I certainly couldn't have done a lot beyond survive once my kid came. So, doing the preparations beforehand would maybe be my biggest pieces of advice.
Like you can be prepared to a point, but I feel like nothing ever really prepares you right for all of the things because your kid keeps you guessing every day when it's here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just do what you can in terms of like mm, supplies,
Yes.
living space, like is your
Yep.
bank account in order, that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
then, of course, yeah, once baby comes, it's all going to be what it is. Your
Yeah.
choosing chaos title is accurate. But
Thanks.
but it does help if at least you have a couple ducks in a row. So those ones you know where they are while you're
Yeah.
busy swimming out to sea in the stuff you couldn't have guessed.
Exactly. You mentioned earlier about having a conversation that when Theodore is 3, you consider having a second child. What feels exciting, but also maybe scary about that decision?
Oh, a lot. A lot. I always wanted to have a big family, so having 2 feels like the minimum and
Yeah.
and is the maximum, in fact, now because I
What if
can't
you get
afford
twins?
more. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I have like what if I conceive multiples is a real fear that I think about all the time. In part because we know so many twins suddenly. I know like 6 sets of twins, baby twins.
It's a
And it
possibility.
feels like I'm really not trying to manifest that for myself. I have to throw us all into the sea like I wouldn't survive.
Right. I had a few episodes back to back when I was recording that were twins, and I was like, "Is somebody trying to tell me something out here?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um I would really like a sibling for my son.
Yeah.
That would just be really nice, and I always, as I said, wanted several children. But a lot is scary about it because I'm just one person, and
Mhm.
then there'll be 2 children. And also my folks who I've been leaning on so much, they're getting older, and they've said to me more than once, "We love you, we support you, we've loved helping you. We won't be able to help you in the same way with this second baby. Like, we cannot move in part-time again. We're too tired. That's not on the table, and so
Yeah.
we'll have to find out a different way for you to get that." So contemplating, okay, how much would it cost to hire a night doula, perhaps?
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
what savings would I need for paying for the kind of support that I was able to get the first time around? Logistically, co-sleeping. How do I co-sleep with a toddler and a newborn?
Right.
All of these challenges when you're just one person thinking about two, but so many people do it. So it's
Yes.
certainly possible.
Yes.
It's just yet one more challenge to research and make a spreadsheet about and go from there.
But Theodore will be at a stage where he'll be a little more self-sufficient than he is now. He's relying very much on mama. So I think that that helps too, right? When bringing a second one into the world. What I will say is a nighttime nurse or a nighttime doula is it more expensive than a daytime one. Just keep that in
Yes.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I found that as much as I needed one at night, I needed one in the morning when I woke up more than anything. So, like, that
Yeah.
morning shift was the best time for me to have a doula.
Interesting. Yeah. And I mean, that is often what it was for me too. Like, I didn't really need people overnight other than for
Yeah.
peace of mind. Very rarely did I actually call on anyone in the nighttime. I liked knowing that I had someone in the house, especially in that first month. But yeah, it was just being able to wake up to them being there.
Yeah.
So perhaps if a doula can start at 6 a.m.,
I
then we're
think they
covered.
can. Yeah.
I
I
love
think they
that.
can. Just can, do your research now, but I'm pretty sure there are some that do daytime. Like you said, overnight, I felt similarly. I didn't really need anybody except for when we were cluster feeding. That would have been great, but they can't replace my boobs. So, um, so like I thought in the morning it was the easiest because the schedule was just chaotic the moment that I woke up,
Mm.
where that was the most stressful point of my day. And even just like one text message from somebody would be like enough to give me an emotional breakdown because I'm like, I can't respond to you right now. I have so much on
Yeah.
my plate.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. As you're talking, some of the memories are coming back. Oh,
Yeah. So research that for sure.
yes,
You have
definitely.
time. You have like a little less than a year and a half.
Yeah. I know. Sometimes I think about it and I like do the work back of like what month will I start taking the prenatals? Like I don't know if you're the type to use a spreadsheet, but I feel like a lot of people who end up on this journey are sort of like organized planner type
Mm-hmm.
people. And so I have a master Excel sheet that has, all of the timelines of the first go around, and then other tabs that have populated about like, okay, all of our childcare applications, all of the stuff for his first birthday planning, like all of the
Yeah.
supplies that we needed to prep before he came. And so now there's a new section on the sheet for like round 2 and the dates associated.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with the listeners about your journey, about Theodore?
Oh my goodness, probably, but am I going to be able to think about it in this moment? Probably I can't. So no. So
Is there
I'll just
anything you
have to
want to
leave it
say to
there.
Theodore if he
To
ever
say
were to
to
hear
Theodore.
this?
Oh, I think he knows. I think he knows. I've written him a couple of letters. That is
Oh,
one thing that I wish I had more time for. Like, I have not filled out any baby books, and I've forgiven myself for, any expectations I might have had earlier on, especially when he was a newborn. Like, newborns they don't have individualized wants and needs. They all like roughly the same things. But as he
right.
becomes a little more of his own person, I kind of wish I had time to journal about him more and write down these cute things that he's doing month by month. But I've written him a couple letters. I think once when he was 5 months old and once when he was maybe 11 months old. And maybe it's time to sit down tonight and write another one.
There you
They
go.
they end up often quite similar, but just about what a sweet, sweet, wonderful creature he is. And he won't be a perfect person, but he is perfect for me. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that he's my guy.
Yeah. Forever and ever.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And maybe you'll create a video journal for him. There you go.
Perhaps. Yes,
Mhm.
maybe that's one. Or voice notes. I find those a lot more more accessible in terms of time.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, just sit down and I can just chat to him.
As long as he's asleep, because otherwise you hear all the baby noises and stuff in the
Yes,
background. Yeah.
exactly.
It has been a pleasure. I would love to have you back at some point. Keep me posted on potential baby number 2.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your maternity leave. Soak up all that time with Theodore.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me on. It's been just a
Yes.
delight to chat.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure. You take care of yourself. Jay's story reminds us that family building can take many forms, and that honesty, openness, and humor can carry us through even the most surreal moments of this process. Something that we need to talk more about is the profound strength required for women to create life and bring a baby into this world. It's a physical, emotional, and deeply human weight that women carry with a resilience and power many couldn't begin to fathom. Most men would struggle to shoulder that kind of intensity. Yet, women step into it with a quiet, fierce courage that too often goes unspoken. She shows us that you can prepare for a baby in all the right ways, but once that baby arrives, choosing chaos becomes a pretty accurate description of the life that you are stepping into. In many ways, she embraced her own beautiful version of the chaos from the start, stepping into uncertainty with intention and heart. Her commitment to weaving donor conception into her son's story from the very beginning is both intentional and courageous, offering a model for other parents navigating similar paths. We are grateful to Jay for sharing her story with us while maintaining her privacy, and for reminding us that parenthood isn't defined by genetics alone, but by love, clarity, and connection that we build every single day with our little ones. Her toddler may be keeping her on her toes, but Jay is meeting every moment with honesty, joy, and the kind of laughter that only comes with a lived in experience. Thank you for joining us for this episode, and thank you, Jay, for trusting us with your story. If you'd like to support the show and stay connected, be sure to follow us on Patreon, TikTok, and Instagram. We would love to have you as part of our community and share your story.